Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Joy for the Journey. Thank you for joining us and catching this broadcast. We apologize for last week. Unexpectedly, we were not able to air because I had an unexpected appointment at the dentist. I got called in for a procedure, and as I was there in a little bit of a pain, was able to slide in, and they were able to fit me in and do some work on my tooth that still needs to be done. Hang on, I'm going somewhere. Still needs to be finished up. But as I was sitting there, I said to myself, man, a tooth is a very small thing, but it can cause a whole lot of pain. If you've ever had a bad tooth in your mouth or had some issues with your teeth, it can be very, very painful. It is a small thing, but it can cause a lot of pain, and we can equivocate that to our lives, that it's the small things sometimes that we don't pay attention to that can cause us the most pain. I just thought I would slide that in and throw that in for free this evening whenever you catch this broadcast. But tonight I want to talk a little bit for a little bit of a short period of time about falling in love with the process. We love the provision. We love the end result. We love the success per se. We love to win. But in order to do that, we have to fall in love with the process. And oftentimes, we don't care for the process that we have to go through to get to that end result. A lot of people look at you on the outside, or they may look at what you may have or what you may have achieved in life. But nobody knows your journey but you. Nobody knows what you've been through but you. Nobody knows the blood, sweat, and tears that you have put in, the work that you put in. They only see the end result. They see the blessing, but they don't see the mess that you had to go through. They don't see the struggle that you had to fight through every single day. They don't understand sometimes what it really takes to be you. I wish I had some company that could holler back at me. They just don't understand. But you have to fall in love with process and not provision, because you can't get to the provision without going through the process. We love the stuff, we love the success, we love the accomplishment, but none of that is possible without the process. And this teaching right here is anchored in a sermon I preached a few weeks ago relative to Jeremiah in chapter 18. Familiar passage where Jeremiah went down to the potter's house. But we really don't pay attention in that text to the process that the clay had to go through even to get on the wheel, or to be ready to be put on the wheel. We need to understand that picture of behind the scenes of the clay having to be dug out of the ground, and then the clay having to be dried out, and the clay having to be needled out and banged and mashed and smashed to just get it to be ready to be in the potter's hands, just to be ready to be put on the wheel. It's got to go through some exposure to the sun so it can dry out, then it's beat down to get all of the lumps out of it. There is an entire process before it's even ready to be on the wheel. Why do I share that with you? Because sometimes, I'm going to help you tonight, sometimes we want people to be at a certain point. We want people to act a certain way or to get their lives together per se. But it's a process. Sometimes people just aren't ready yet. I wish I had a witness. I wish I had some people that were honest and transparent that would testify that, you know what, there was a time in my life when I wasn't ready to be in God's hands. I just wasn't ready to give up some of the things that I was doing. I just wasn't ready to make that full commitment. And we as Christians, as God pushes on us and presses on us, sometimes we resist what God is trying to do in our lives because we're just not ready for God to work on us in that way. So be patient with people and know that it's not our time, it's God's time that really, really matters. And as long as there's breath in their body, there's still the opportunity, still a chance for the Lord to be ready, or for them to be ready to receive the hand of the Lord in their lives. Not everybody is ready all at the same time. But getting back to tonight and talking about falling in love with the process, Muhammad Ali said it this way. He said, I hate every minute of training but I said, don't quit. Suffer now and live the rest of your life as a champion. Let me say that again. That right there just set my soul on fire. Muhammad Ali said, I hate every minute of training. I hate every minute of having gone in this gym and being doing these exercises, lifting these weights, sparring with other competitors. I hate every minute of training. But I said, don't quit. Suffer now. Go through it right now. Go through the pressing. Go through the shaping, go through the molding right now. Suffer now so that I can live as a champion the rest of my life. Boy, I wish that would set your soul on fire the way it set my soul on fire. He's saying here, you know what? I hate the process. I don't like the process. I don't like the training piece of it. But I understand if I suffer, if I go through it right now, that I am being prepared to be a champion. And beloved of God, if you want to achieve anything in life, you have to fall in love with the process. If you want that job, you want that promotion, you got to fall in love with the process of learning, the process of growing, the process of becoming. If you want to lose those pounds, you got to fall in love with the process of getting up every single day and sometimes doing the same thing day in and day out. There it is right there, showing up every day and sometimes doing the same thing day in and day out. That's what I'm talking about. Falling in love with the process means that you master the mundane. Oh, you missed it right there. That you master this desire to move off course and to lose focus, but you master the mundane. You get up every day and you do the same thing over and over again. And sometimes, beloved, that's what it takes to be a champion. That's what it takes, beloved of God, to get not just due to the provision, but to get to the promises of God. Much is given and much is said about provision and what we achieve and what we get in life, but we don't talk that much about the process. The battle is won when you fall in love with the process. The battle is often won every single day by just showing up every single day and putting in good work. We're outworking yourself every day. If you don't show up, nothing will happen. Stick with it. You got to grow roots somewhere. You got to grow a foundation and put down a foundation somewhere. And it takes time to become a strong servant of the Lord. Let me say that again. It takes time to become a strong servant of the Lord. It takes doing some of the same things over and over again and falling in love with the process. If you don't love what you're doing as you make your journey along the way, you're going to be miserable, and chances are you're not going to get there because you don't love process. You love provision. You just want the end result. You don't want to go through the middle part. Look, the ability to just hang in there sometimes. I don't know how many times in my life that I have wanted to give up or just wanted to throw in the towel on some certain things, but I pushed a little harder. I pressed forward a little longer, and Lord and behold, I was right there at it. I was closer than what I ever imagined and what I ever knew. And beloved of God, sometimes you just got to hang in there. Sometimes you just got to have that last bit of patience, that last bit of push, that last bit of strain, that last bit of push to get over the hump. When you are squeezed and pressed sometimes you just got to hang in there. Sometimes, beloved, it is the reshaping and the remaking that will reestablish you. Sometimes it's the pressing and the messing that will produce your miracle. Let me say that again. Sometimes it's the reshaping and the remaking that will reestablish you, and the pressing and the messing that will produce your miracle. But we get caught up, here it is, we get caught up sometimes in our emotions, and we act on our emotions. You can't be moved by your emotions all the time. You got to stand on the promises of God. You got to be moved by faith, and you got to operate in faith. Your emotions will take you to an emotional place, and it won't take you to to a place where you reside in the eternal, but you will let external elements and environments dictate to you what you allow yourself to do. I'm about to shout out of my shoes up in here. Stop acting on emotions and hold on to what you know is true, what you know the Lord has promised you. You know God made some promises to you. You know God said some things are yours, and your emotions sometimes get in the way of being able to see that, you know what, God is still working even in the middle of my mess. God is up to something. Look, success is not an event. It's a commitment to process. Let me say that again. Success, whatever you want to, however you want to couch success. I try not to define it anymore. However you want to couch success, whatever you want to call it, it is not an event. It is not a destination. Success is a process. It is a willingness to show up for practice every single day and sometimes do the same thing over and over again. Success is falling in love with repetition. Fall in love with the process and not the results. You got to get that. I'm almost done. Fall in love with the process and not the results. We get it backwards. We fall in love with the results. We fall in love with what came out of it. But no, when you fall in love with process, that means that you can do it again, over and over again. That means you can push yourself to another level. That means you can dig down deeper because you love the part of going through, because you know the results that it's going to yield. But you're not in love with the results. You're in love with the process as you go through it. And most people want to do the doggone thing. I believe most people want to do the doggone thing, but they think about what it's going to cost them. They think about what it is going to take. They think about the process that they're going to have to go through, and they check out before they even get started. Well, that's too hard. That's too difficult. That's too much. That's going to take too much time. That's going to take too much of a challenge. I'm too old for that. And before you know it, you've talked yourself out of what God had already preordained and predestined for your life. Falling in love with the process of achieving your goal, even when the goals seem unattainable, God is still able. Can I tell you something else? You got to learn, beloved. Here it is. The way that you fall in love with process is you enjoy the journey of life. Life is not about a particular destination. It's about being able to enjoy the ride and enjoy the journey and take it all in and see how God's handiwork is at work in your life, and to see how God puts this thing together in a way that you never imagined. And we spend most of our life heading towards a goal without even enjoying the journey. And then we get to a point in our lives when we're older and we're looking back over our lives and we have regrets, woulda, coulda, shoulda. I want to talk to some young people. I don't want you to live with regrets. I want you to enjoy every part of the journey. Even when it's difficult, you got to find some joy in it. Even when it's hard, beloved of God, you got to find some happiness in it. Even when it's a struggle, even when it's tough, there's something and so much to shout about. As I preached on Sunday, there's always something to shout about. There's always some good news, no matter what the bad news that's overshadowing your situation. God is still working, and you really want results. The key to getting the results is to fall in love with the process and just enjoy the journey. Relax a little bit, slow down a little bit, embrace the process that God is taking you through, because success is not a destination. Success is being willing to show up for practice every single day. How Muhammad Ali said it best. He said, I hate this training, but I know if I suffer right now, I'm going to live like a champion for the rest of my life. Here's the question on the floor. Are you willing to suffer now so that you can live like a champion down the road? The question is not what you you want and how bad you want it. The question is, how willing are you to work for it? Let me clean that up. The question is not what you want and not how bad you want it. The question is, are you willing to work for it? Are you willing to grind for it? Are you willing to fall in love with the mundane and getting up every day and doing the same thing repetitively over and over again? Are you willing to take on and have the discipline that's necessary to get to the next destination and the next journey, the next part of this journey in your life? Life is about a journey, and God takes us from destination to destination, from point to point, because he wants to continue to elevate you. I gotta let you go because I'm about to get excited. He wants to continue to elevate you. God wants to continue to stretch you, and that's why he sent Jeremiah down to the potter's house, because Jeremiah was getting frustrated. He was getting tired. He didn't understand why nobody was listening to him, why nobody was being saved, why the people weren't changing their lives, and he was getting frustrated. So God sends him down here to see this picture, to let him know, look, everybody ain't ready. Everybody ain't ready to be in the potter's hands. But then when they get in the potter's hands, there's some times that there's going to be some lumps and some stuff that's not worked out, and it's going to mar the vessel. It will damage the vessel, and sometimes God has to start over and make another vessel and make it into a better vessel. All I'm saying to you tonight is fall in love with the process. Learn to love process and not provision. You can't get to the provision without understanding that you got to stick to the process. You got to have discipline. You got to have determination. You got to be committed to the doggone thing. And you got to know beyond a shadow of a doubt that the Lord has not brought you this far to leave you now. I pray that this brings you some joy for the journey. I pray that the Lord has blessed you, and I pray that you understand that it's the process and not the provision that's going to get you through. May the Lord God bless you real good. I'll see you on next week.